Hello and welcome back to Car Lube. This is E30 M3 Recreation. I've had so many comments asking when the next instalment will be. I will leave it up to Spencer to explain why the progress has slowed up somewhat. For those of you that haven't been following the series so far, you can find the playlist here. We are now on episode 12. So let's just recap where we left episode 11. Spencer had most of the panels mocked up on the car, lining everything up to create perfect panel gaps. In this episode, some real progress has been made. The car is really coming along nicely.
Obviously, it's been quite a while since you've had any major updates on the car. Obviously, we've had a few little hold-ups with carbon fibre parts and stuff like that, production of those. There was also a hold-up on the spit, which I was using on another vehicle, and obviously I have other builds that I'm doing. I'm currently sort of doing 4 of these builds all in one go, sort of running them parallel alongside each other. So just to give you sort of some idea, there's another one on the spit that we're sort of preparing halfway through. That is obviously, once it comes off the spit, these two cars are going to basically exchange over. So that car will come off the spit, this car will go on the spit, the undersealer will be removed off this car. Once the undersealer's off, the car will then go away for sandblasting. So the whole underside, well, the whole car on that one has actually been fully sandblasted from front to back. And then once that's been fully sandblasted, it then gets epoxy primed. And then back to me for undersealer. What we're going to do with this car particularly as well is we're going to key the underside up, paint the underside straight onto the primer, and then paint the undersealer on. So spray the undersealer onto the underside of the body, so key the paint up and then spray undersealer over top of the paint. Then again send it off for paint and have the underside painted, so it's got 2 layers of protection against the water from underneath. What I've been doing today mostly, and what I've done since the last time, is the sills have been fully fixed on for the last time. So they've actually been fully welded all the way along the bottom of the sill as well. So that's the outer sill from the front joint to the rear joint. The sill actually steps down and goes behind the rear quarter. That's why the spot weld holes haven't been filled in on the rear quarter to the sill yet, because I'm still adjusting all the back end panels. The same with the other side. You can see that the outer sill piece has been fully welded with a spot welder. We've also sort of done 2 spots, 1 plug, 2 spots, 1 plug, all the way along the sill, just to be certain that the actual sill is, you know, joined onto the car perfectly. Obviously the sills have been welded on, ground down. Today's progress so far is the inner wheel arches, which are carbon fibre items. Those inner wheel arches, they're obviously a carbon fibre item, but they need trimming. So any carbon fibre or fiberglass part that you ever have made always needs trimming, needs fitting, needs grinding, needs smoothing to make sure that it fits properly. So you have to do a dummy build. As you can see, if I just show you down here, there's the rear battery tray fitted. You can see that the rear battery tray actually, that's the whole carbon fibre piece. Now there's a couple of little areas which I need to build in metal before we can carry on, and those 2 areas are where the previous guy who done the work cut the panel work too short. So you can see down in that pocket there, the actual inner wheel arch is just too short, the metal work, so I've got to make the metal work extend down to there and to this outer rear quarter. Alright, so there's one little repair that needs to be done before I can actually start to think about bonding everything on and then start welding the rear quarters. The other repair is exactly the same place, so you can see down there, but what's actually happened as well is they cut the inner pocket too short, so the inner pocket's completely removed. Now that part has actually gone discontinued now, so you can't actually buy that. I don't have a mould of it, so this side part here, which attaches onto the bottom of the boot floor, that's going to have to be made from scratch. So that's another area which obviously needs to be built and done. Now everything's panelled up, I can, you know, make those 2 areas and actually fill them in. Then once they're filled in, it will be a case of take the rear quarters and the back panel off, and as you can see, what I've done is fitted the inner tubs. So the outer inner tubs are carbon fibre, these are original steel, the rear quarter is steel. So this carbon fibre item will be glued all the way along this joint and riveted in these few areas where the bolts are. So you can see your inner arch. Be glued and riveted down the spot weld joint. The same the other side. Glued and riveted down this joint all the way down, as well as along this area, glued and riveted. So that will then fix the wheel arches to the car, both sides. But what I intend to do, because in some areas there's only 1 inch of bonding surface, what I intend to do is I will go into the wheel arch. I made this decision when I was fitting them, and I'm actually going to tack weld a brand new piece of metal 2 inches into this carbon fibre area. So all the way around the wheel arch, I'm going to wing a piece of steel off here, which will create an angle joint, 90-degree angle joint. That will actually bond and grip on and give me a good bonding surface of 2 inches that way and 1 inch in areas the other way. So that will create a sort of a stiffer joint, and a joint which, you know, will not allow water through. That will create a larger bonding surface, and that will just grip more. So what I've done in the actual wheel arch itself is, you can see that the carbon fibre inner tub is actually in there and fitted, but up in the wheel arch itself I removed the return of the wheel arch. So the wheel arch actually returns back and runs alongside this steel part. Now the reason I done that was that in the factory, all these cars left the factory with this 1 inch return folded. It was folded upwards, so it was rolled back on itself. Now, given that we're using carbon fibre innards, you cannot fold the carbon fibre. If you try and fold the carbon fibre, it will actually crack the actual item and end up snapping it. It could snap it here, could break it up here. So the last thing we want to do is fold this steel as well as the carbon on itself. So I trimmed the actual carbon part completely, you can see along here, and I've trimmed this carbon part so it comes up and runs parallel with this edge. So it's all the way on this very edge there, all the way around, and that'll allow me to put glue inside on the wheel arch. So I can put glue all the way around on the wheel arch, which will give me a nice 2 to 3 inch bonding surface, and I can then put glue on the inside of this steel panel and fold this up and round on itself, which will do away with any rust traps whatsoever, stop water from penetrating the wheel arch whatsoever. So we won't get any water penetration from this way or from down the panel itself. So that will give a nice sealed panel joint. And the same principle, well, exact same principle on the passenger side. So this wheel arch is all cut in. You can see the fill-in metal that I've got to make. So I've got, this is the previous guy who fit the fiberglass kit. So I've got to make this from here down to here, which ain't a problem, but it's the next thing on the list. You can see the wheel arches in all the way around. All the way around. Now they were moulded off original M3 ones. So we've added Kevlar to the inside to stop any stone chips from piercing through the actual wheel arch itself. And exactly the same principle, I've removed from here, halfway up, well, not even halfway, up all the way around. So the actual arch can be fully rolled back on itself, allowing for the wheels to fit, larger wheels. So there has been progress on the body. Obviously I've been a bit slow with other projects which I've got on as well, just having to work on those as well, so I'm sort of trying to juggle between the two. I got halfway through building the engine back up for this build as well, so the S54 engine's nearly finished. I had a clean week where we tidied all the workshop up, got about 4 or 5 different engines I've got to build. So had a clean week, ordered all the parts that we were missing and just obviously started building them up. But now that everything was here, I thought that I'd get a few days back in on this and possibly try and get this so she's fully panelled up, ready to lift off. and we can get the undersealer off. I've also gone to the extent of removing the undersealer from the underside around the back end of the car. So you can see anywhere which is near any new panels, i.e. the back panel. So any floor which is near the back panel, any chassis which is near any carbon fibre parts, has all been fully removed, the undersealer, so as to not damage any carbon fibre parts with a wire wheel when we try to remove it once it's on the spit. So obviously once the car goes on the spit, it then makes life easier for, you know, areas like that to be cleaned up, you know, rust treated, primed and painted. You wouldn't be able to do them areas with the actual metal work affixed on. That's one thing out of the way. The front wheel arches have also been removed, the undersealer on those, so they're ready to start priming as soon as the rest of the undersealer's off. So this week we're going to fixate on the steel work, filling these little holes in, fill that side pocket in, fill this little hole in, remove the rear quarters. Once I've removed the rear quarters, you can see I've fixed the inner tubs on. So with one hole in, you know, every sort of 4 or 5 inches, I can then take them off, bond them on, put the glue on the rear quarters itself and the tubs, then bond those over and on, and then start welding. So things should start to move again on this project.
An engine which is just over 3 litres, so it's 3003 cc's,
right.
So over 3 litres, and certain other lightweight features. You may have seen these Batmobile ones with
Yes.
the fancy wings.
Yes.
That enabled them to introduce those in saloon car racing, and they